to reconcile P card charges. And another report type is for employees to request reimbursement for out-of-pocket expense. So what does this mean for overnight travel? This means that the paper TAF and corresponding expense report are no longer. They're being eliminated. Yay.
Yay.
So for the overnight travel program, travelers will go in and create a new pre-approval report. This report will go to their budget approver and their supervisor to seek pre-authorization to make travel arrangements. And so a PA, formerly known as TAF, you'll want to remember that lingo there. And then when the traveler returns, they'll fill out an expense report called the Traveler Reconcile Overnight Travel in Chrome River. This is, you'll learn how to get there, but this is what it'll look like. There's a drop-down menu with report type Traveler to reconcile your overnight travel. Then just as a reminder, overnight travel is still suspended due to the pandemic. And as we get word of overnight, that being the suspension being lifted, we are going to hold some overnight travel training sessions for employees. So the next topic is cardholder P card purchases.
Hey, Jill.
Uh-huh.
That PA one you're saying that's only for overnight travel. It's not for anything else. We don't need it right now because we can't do it.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Correct. Thanks. Then cardholders will have one report type to reconcile all their P card purchases. It's called a cardholder P card purchase report type. And one of the good things about this is that P card reports can be submitted they have to be submitted at least monthly, but departments will have the option to submit them more frequently, which means that the charges will post to Banner to your department budgets as often as you like. So there will still be a requirement that the reports be completed at least monthly, but departments will have the flexibility to create these more often and have the charges be reflected in their Banner spend. Currently, we have, as all the cardholders are aware, you wait until the end of the month, reconcile everything. Then the managers have a week to approve it, and then accounting has a week to upload and post to the general ledger. So this will greatly increase the timing of when departments will see charges posted to their department budgets. Another thing with the P card reconciliation is receipts are emailed to Chrome River and attached to purchase transactions. This means that the P card purchase and the receipt route together through the approval process, which will give some more visibility to managers when they're approving transactions. They'll have a link to be able to view the receipt right there when they're making their approvals. And this also eliminates the need to assemble the monthly packet. And it also eliminates, you no longer have to print your monthly statement anymore either. So once the cardholder goes into Chrome River, reconciles their charge by putting it on a cardholder report, attaching the receipt, the cardholder's done. They don't have to do anything else with that transaction. Then employees currently to get reimbursed because the campuses are mostly closed, Impress Cash is not available. Employees, if they need reimbursed, have to submit all their receipts to the department admin. The department admin has to go into Banner, create a direct pay invoice, then load all the receipts into AO Docs, and then that comes to accounts payable for payment processing. With Chrome River, employees will be able to go into Chrome River, create an expense report to request reimbursement for their out-of-pocket purchases. And we will have a special link to training for any employees that miss this. There will be a link on the accounts payable page that provides step-by-step directions on how to do this.
Jill, this is where like the bookstore gets special, right? we have instances where either myself or someone else has to make purchases, and they're not on P card. And because we have our own bank account and our own accounting system, we'll do the miscellaneous reimbursements like that on my approval out of our own account. Should we be looking at shifting that?
I'll make a note and look at what that would entail for you,
Okay.
possibly.
Yeah, it's not a common thing, but you know, it might be someone has to pick something up and we reimburse them for it.
Okay. Yeah, we can look at that and see.
Hey, Jill.
Uh-huh.
This is Susan Lipsky. Hi.
Hi.
I wanted to ask, should we be asking questions along the way, or should we be making notes and then asking you at the end, or how would you prefer to run this?
Yeah, if you could make notes, and at the end we'll do questions.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. So some of the highlights in Chrome River. Chrome River's all employees have access to Chrome River to create their own overnight travel request or to request reimbursement for an out-of-pocket expense. Chrome River does have a delegation feature. So all employees at the college are able to set up another person to be their delegate to create reports on their behalf, submit pre-approvals to travel or their travel expense reports. And approvers are also able to assign another budget approver to make approvals on their behalf through a delegation process in Chrome River. It's real simple to use. And the approval delegate can be set up for a certain specific time period. So we're all aware of what a FOAP is, a fund, org code, account code, which classifies the expense in the program. So in Chrome River, it's handled a little bit differently. Once you get the hang of it, it's easy. But I'm going to walk you through, and then there'll be in-depth training on this in the upcoming training sessions. So in Chrome River, the fund, org, and program are combination streams. And users will find them in this allocation search bar. So anytime you're creating a PA, request to travel, or submitting an expense report, you will have this allocation bar to search for your FOP combination, fund, org, and program. All FOPs are available to everyone in the system. So right now it's very difficult when there's a P card purchase for departments to share the expense. And now it'll be really easy. You'll be able to come into Chrome River, search on whichever FOPs you need to allocate charges to. And there's a feature right here, add allocation, where you can split the charges. Then the account code, there is a mosaic of tiles that lists all the account codes. So this is where you classify the expense. And you can see right here, it's light Chrome River. They can't darken this, so it's a little light to read. But when you'll do the allocation, the fund, org, and program, and then it will take you to this mosaic tiles to say, am I buying supplies? Am I buying minor equipment, in-district meeting expense, overnight travel? So for the A in FOAP, you will use these tiles to assign the classification to your expense. Then in Chrome River, all expenses and PAs route to the budget approver. They also route to the submitter's supervisor. If that's the same person, it'll only require one approval. This will be helpful when with travelers that maybe another department sharing a part of the cost of their travel. So their supervisor will be aware that they're traveling as well as the FOAP approver. And then everything will end up in accounting. For folks that work with special revenue funds, 4 funds and 1900 funds, contract and grant staff will play the accounting role for your PAs and any expense reports. And then anything that's not a 4 fund or 1900 fund will be reviewed by accounts payable staff. So that'll be a change. And then the way it works, if a FOAP approver change is made in Banner or a reports to situation, maybe an employee switches departments in Banner at night, those changes are fed to Chrome River. So if a approver change is made during the day today, tomorrow in Chrome, it will feed overnight, and tomorrow in Chrome River, the changes will be reflected. So there's no more where you have to submit any type of request to accounts payable that someone else is the cardholder approver. All the approvals are based on budget approver and supervisor. And then these changes are made automatically. There's no more notification for any of those changes. And then how are approvals made? I think the approvers will be happy. They will no longer have to log into Works. And approvers will get an email with an expense report. They can make the approval from the email, or they may choose to go into the Chrome River platform, or there is a Chrome River application where they could download on their phone to make approvals by phone. And then just quickly, here's an example of what an email would look like. It will give the details of the expense, and the approver would either accept or return. And it works similar to AODocs. If anyone's used that, when you accept, then you hit send, which sends the email back to Chrome River to make your approval, and then you delete the email. And then there's a link right here where the approver can click to view the receipts that are attached with the P-card purchases. And if the approver would like to get into Chrome River, there's a link right here where Chrome River will be single sign-on. So once you're in MyPCC, there'll be a link where you can access Chrome River from your MyPCC portal. And so if you're in your, if you've logged into PCC, you could click here and it'll just take you right into Chrome River without having to log in. Ta-da. So questions?
Hi, Jill. It's Susan O'Day. I missed like the first 3 minutes. How do you get to Chrome River?
It's going to be single sign-on. So when it it'll be going live August 2nd, and it's potentially, that's our game plan right now. But you will have a link through your employee tab on your MyPCC portal.
Oh, through MyPCC. Okay, thank you.
Jill, this is Susan Lipsky. I have 3 questions.
Okay.
Access items submitted. Once they're submitted, will we still have access to receipts and such once they're submitted?
Yes, you will.
Okay.
And they're forever there.
Okay. And then the process of submitting the PAs, does it bypass the administrative assistants, the P card holders or the card holders, or are the administrative assistants still helping with the PAs, the former TAFs in that
So the
process?
way-
Are we aware?
So that will be up to each individual department to decide. So if you have someone in your department that's going to travel, it could be your department guideline that the travelers set you as a delegate, and then you would be able to go in and do that on their behalf. There's some departments that want the employee, the staff, to create their own records. So that delegation feature will let you decide how you want to handle that.
That's good to know. And then another question I have is the approval queues. You said that Chrome River will update overnight, kind of like Banner does. Does that mean that if that takes 24 hours for that the new approver to have access?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
Okay.
Hi, Jill. This is Kathleen Freitag. How are you?
Hi. Good.
I just had a question about being able to submit these receipts more often, and how quickly or how often would then the FWR DEETS report be updated with those, or if it's being updated with that information. So those transactions.
I'm not sure what the FWR DEETS is.
It's a detail report for all the things that have been paid for in Banner.
Oh, your like your budget report, just looking at charges.
Yes.
Right. So when a cardholder or traveler fills out a report, it has the FOP approval, the reports to approval, and it comes to accounting, has the accounting approval, then it will go and post overnight to Banner. So the next day you would see it reflected in your budget reports.
Excellent. So if I change, so right now we're doing it monthly. So if I had buyers do that like every week, then I would see those changes.
Yes.
Throughout the month. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jill, it's Juanita. So you said that grants will work on the accounting. You know how we're assigned normally, like Joni calls me if I have an issue with an account, like if I put it in incorrectly on my P card. So will we be assigned the same way as we are assigned to AP?
So that was referring to your mostly general fund, but there are special revenue funds, and contract and grant accounting review those purchases. And they will be right now in Works. Everything comes into an accounting queue, and they go in and find what their for fund purchases. But with Chrome River, anything that's purchased on a 4 fund or 1900 fund will only route to the contract and grant accountants. And anything that's not a 4 fund or 1900 fund will route to accounts payable staff for approval.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Jill. Jacqueline here from Southeast Campus. I had a question on the P card process. As lead, all the P cards in my office get filtered through me to review the transactions before the dean signs off, or the manager. Is it still going to have a reviewer function in order to provide that service?
No, the workaround would be for you to be a delegate for those cardholders, to be able to go in and look at their reports. And sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you. Through the delegate, then they assign me to that role. And then it doesn't get filtered over to the manager until I've gone through and checked off my delegate is approved.
No, it does not have that capability, but there is a comment field. So, I may have to work with you offline to try and figure out a process, but there is a way that you could add a comment to someone's report.
I know several divisions function this way, so this might be something we need to address.
Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
All right, thank you.
This is Susan again, and I agree with Jacqueline if we could figure a workaround on that. When is Chrome River going to be implemented? Are we going through another cycle in Works, or are we moving toward Chrome soon?
Yeah, so we're going to go through, what is today? We're going to go through 2 more cycles in Works, because with year-end closing, we just decided that it would just be easier. So in Works, and this will be coming out in the communication, but in Works, you will reconcile your transactions through June 17th, and then you will reconcile your transactions through July 17th. And then on August 2nd, which is a Monday, everyone will have access to Chrome River. And when you go into Chrome River, you will see your P card purchases from July 18th on. And then we're going to give everybody until like August, the middle of August, to get those reports done. And then after that, we'll no longer be on a cycle of the 18th to the 17th. It'll just be August charges, September charges, October charges. And we'll ask cardholders to have their prior months, everything reconciled probably within a few days, like by the 3rd of the following month. And then give approvers in another few days.
Jill, can you clarify something for me? I think I heard that anyone has access to all the college's FOPs. So what's to keep them from accidentally charging off on different FOPs and the manager signing off on it, not knowing? Because we're going to have new managers over different things, and they may forget where they're managing. So how is it scares me that anybody has access to all the FOPs.
That's the way the product works. They will, an approver will have to be familiar with what they're approving, and hopefully the person's name that's submitting the report should be familiar to the approver. So if an approver has a card holder, they should hopefully will be aware of who their card holders are, recognize a name that pops in from someone that's not normally under their direction. But in the training, we will highlight that that is something that approvers need to be aware of.
So Jill, just backing up Chrissy, when this does happen, because it happens frequently, even with the current setup, I sometimes get my hands slapped for trying to make corrections after, a journal transfer. I just see this getting way out of control. And are we going to be allowed to do multiple journal transfers through this whole reorg process?
No, we really try to limit those because we do those, but it's not a solution to not being aware of what you're approving and making sure it's charged to the right place. So that's just something that we're going to have to really highlight with approvers, that they've, got to be aware of who's, of what's coming to them for approval in the FOPs. And one thing in Chrome River, it does provide everywhere. So like the fund, it has the title. In the org, it has the title. So the manager will see the fund and org titles as they're making approvals.
I have a clarifying question around this situation. So it sounds like although we'll have access to all of the FOPs, if we accidentally allocated a charge to a FOP that's not underneath, there's not, sorry, my words, within our own budget, that it won't go to our supervisor. It will go to the supervisor of that budget. So it kind of puts, am I understanding correctly?
No, so it would go to your supervisor.
Oh.
And then it would go to the FOP approver. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, if
it will eventually make it to the FOP approver.
Yes.
So the buck does stop at the person who is over the budget.
Yes. And hopefully the person over the budget will be somewhat familiar with the cardholder names for people that they're approving. And so if somebody, maybe they don't even know, shows up, they get, because when the approver gets an email, let's see if I have that. And the subject line will have the approver's name or the submitter's name in the subject line of the email. Mary?
Hi, I work with the WRC at Cascade, and my question is, how much latitude is there for, and up to what point, for correcting a mistake in allocation? For instance, if you allocate to Fund 1000 versus 3,300, can you go back in the day after and make corrections, or do you have so many minutes? Or
yes, so you'll be able. There's a feature where you can go in and recall your report,
okay,
or an approver or accounting can return your report.
Okay.
But once it's approved by accounting, and then that night it will post to Banner.
And how do you go about making that request? Do you make it through email, or do you make it on the form in Chrome River? Or
you mean before it posts to Banner?
Yeah.
You would have the ability to recall your report in Chrome River.
So up to the 24-hour point or overnight.
Right.
And then
yeah.
And then after that,
that's a journal entry, and we do them, but we don't do them just because people, because it's some, it gets to a point where some people, things just post where they go. And then when they look at their budgets, they're like, oh no, without trying to get it right up front.
Mhm.
So, we really want the charges to post to the correct place as the approvals are being made. Because to do a journal entry, we can't just move stuff based on a staff person's request. We have to get all the details. We have to verify where it was charged to. Then we have to send an email to the approving manager to approve it. And we have to do all that. Then we have to go into Banner and enter the journal entry. So
Hey,
that's why
Jill.
it's just really important to get those up front.
Sorry. I just kind of offering out here. I mean, I know it sounds like maybe this is a little bit of an issue before Chrome River, and it's just like an issue maybe that would continue. And if it is a case of like just simply training, because I mean, I do understand it's really a balancing system, right? We can have Mike Arnold put excessive restrictive access on people's folks, but it may be very hard on the system. So if we can train people to look for it, in a quick manner and to figure out what they want to look for, like I'm happy to and would be glad to lead that. I'm over in the general accounting department, and I think that maybe this gives us an opportunity to do that. I know it's a little challenging here because there is, a lot of new people there, but I mean, I think it does come to the point that really when you are approving something, if you don't know what you're approving, then you just need to ask a question. And there has to be, I think if you're approving things and you're not sure if you should approve it and you're still approving it, that's a different training aspect than Chrome River having this app. And I think we can just work around it. And like I said, I'm happy to do that. So maybe Jill, if that's something you want to add to like one of these Chrome River trainings, or maybe we do it quarterly because new people are coming in. Like I said, I'd be happy to do that. I mean, and I think ultimately we're probably the ones posting those journal entries for you guys. So again, I think if accidents happen, obviously we're going to correct things, to the way that we can, but we don't want to make that the solution. So just like I said, happy to continue that conversation, but just wanted to throw that out there.
Anybody else?
Yes, Stephen here at the Hillsborough Center. Go back to the hard receipts. What do we do with them again?
Okay. So Chrome River works by email. So in your training, you will learn that when you will email receipts to Chrome River, and there's an address where you email the receipt. I'll just go over this briefly, but so you make a purchase, and let's just say the next day, the purchase shows up in Chrome River, and you're going to have something in Chrome River called an e-wallet if you're a P-card holder. And your transaction posts into your e-wallet. And then from your email, if you email that receipt to Chrome River, it will attempt to auto attach that receipt with that purchase. If it can't make an auto attach, it will put the receipt in your receipt gallery. And then when you go to reconcile your P-card charges, they're all in your e-wallet. You click a box and add it to your report, and then you go find the receipt and attach it. So it really does work pretty good. It's nice when it can auto attach to the receipt. Otherwise, you'll have a receipt gallery where you forward all your receipts to, and you just have to go and find it and attach. Or you can save a receipt as a PDF on your own computer, and then when you add that charge to a report, you just navigate. It's just an add attachment, and you navigate to your computer.
Oh, okay. So you can just scan it and if you had to.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Chrome River also offers, so they have two applications for your phone. And one is the full program where approvers can make approvals, and I believe you can submit expense reports. But there's also a Chrome River app. It's called the Snap app. And it is used only to take a picture of a receipt, and it sends it directly to your receipt gallery in Chrome River. So that works really nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Jill, this is Katie. Oh, sorry.
Well, just really quick, Chrome River uses the OCR technology to scan to try and match the merchant and the dollar amount and the date to attach transactions together. But if it's not successful at that, your receipts would be in your receipt gallery and you just would have to navigate to make that happen. Okay, go ahead.
Thanks. This is Katie Lewis, Southeast. I had a question. I maybe missed it while you were going through the slides. Currently, we have independent reviewers. Is that going to be part of this Chrome River process?
It's all gone because you as the card holder, you make a purchase, you reconcile that purchase and you attach the receipt and you're done. There's no more monthly statement. There's no more independent reviewer. The actual approver and your supervisor are actually reviewing the receipt as part of the approval process. There's a link where they can just click on it and see the image right there, and then accounting staff as well.
So Jill, this is Susan again.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, for the lead in an office that reconciles the budget for the division or whatever they're going to be called in the future, is there a report that can do for their areas like you can in Works for the entire division?
Yeah, there are reports that we're playing around with, but definitely there's reports. And there is a report that will have a link. It'll populate into Excel and it'll have a link to actually click and view the image of the receipt.
Hey, Jill, it's Juanita again. I have a question. So in regards to when you're attaching the receipt and I guess reconciling that particular purchase, are we still going to be putting comments in as far as, who the approver was, who reviewed it, what it is?
So for IT, those purchases that you make for the college community, you will not have to do that anymore because the FOP approver, the charge is going to route to the right FOP approver. So it will have their authorization through Chrome River. But for all of those, can you still see my screen?
Yep.
So for these mosaic tiles here, if you select in-district meeting expense, it's going to pull up what's called an expense form. And we're going to ask you for attendees. There's a box that you have to fill out. So there's no more flagging saying you didn't give us the information we need. There's a box that says attendees. There's a box that says date of event. There's a box that says business purpose. And you would fill all that in. And so for your IT purchases, you could put whatever information you want to be captured. Like if you want to have a department name who you worked with to order, you could put this. There's a box for additional information that you could add whatever you want.
Oh, perfect.
And like office supplies, there's just a box that says description of purchase. So each overnight travel, I won't get into too much, but it requires the PA number and the traveler name, destination. So each of these tiles have unique expense forms asking for the information that we need.
Do you have an example you can show us, Jill?
Well, I'm going to do that in the trainings that are going to be coming out soon in June.
Okay.
And the training guide that I put together has screenshots step by step. So I'm going to get that out to everyone early. And you won't be able to actually go in and use the system until August 2nd. But accounts payable staff will be available to help. You could get on a chat, Zoom chat, whatever, and they can walk you through also. But we have about 20 testers and they have found it. I did one training session and they've been able to successfully submit reports.
Is there a chance we can get your PowerPoint?
Yes, I can email that out. Yes. I'll just include it when I send out my next notice about the upcoming training. Oh, yeah. Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah, Jordan's also trying to put together some YouTube how-tos so people can actually watch how to do it in Chrome River also. And Chrome River offers some training camps, and it's pretty much the same thing where a person's just, explaining and showing you click here, drag here. And I'm going to include links so you'll be able to sign up for those training camps also.
Hey, Jill, I have a question about the travel piece. Because guys that go to multiple places, sometimes within a day of travel. So like they can start out in Seattle and end up in Alaska and do multiple, you know, how they travel. So is that going to work for them?
Yes. So we'll have one. We do have an exception set up for that group that travels like that.
Okay.
They will just be submitting travel expense reports.
Okay.
They don't do a TAF. They didn't do a TAF prior.
Right.
And so for that specific group, they'll be set up that way.
Okay. So just reconnect with you before they start traveling again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm also going to include a link on documentation requirements. We updated that to more accurately reflect scanned images because the old document had like the original receipt required. And so I'm going to include that link, and that would be really important for cardholders to look at to what's a valid receipt and image. And we understand it's a little difficult with Amazon and Office Depot because you make an order and it might actually post in 3 different transactions on your P card. So in that case, you're going to have to attach that same image to the 3 transactions. But we'll go over that in more detail. Anything else? All right, if you think of anything, feel free to send me an email. And more information, I have one more of these sessions on June 7th, and then soon after that, I'll be sending out training invites where you actually see the system, and you'll be issued the training guide at that point also.
When you do the training, will there be also training for reporting that we can pull from the system, or should we discuss that separately? Because we run reports that we enter into our budget and that we actually keep of all of our P card stuff, and so want to know if we can still do that.
I'm going to have some basic information in there in the document. I don't know if I'll have enough time to go over, but from the information that I give you, if you need help, you could reach out and we'll help you figure stuff out. Oh, and then, yeah. So when I do the training, we're going to focus on the cardholder and employee reimbursement. And we're not going to do travel training until we get word of when travel might reopen. So it'll just be the cardholder, P card, and employee reimbursement. All right. Anything else? All right. Thank you.
Oh, Jill, can I ask?
Oh,
sorry. Do you have any rough idea whether it's going to be the beginning of June or the end of June when the training sessions will start, and whether they'll be repeated? Because we're trying to navigate vacations and stuff like that. And
yeah, we've got the same issue. I'm going to try and have a lot of sessions mid-June through the end of June. And then if, if anybody needs, and we're going to record these hopefully and have those available to view. And then, we're happy to reach just feel free to reach out to anyone in accounts payable for help. But the testers have found once they get in and you just learn where to navigate, that it's pretty simple. And
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jill.
Thank you. Bye.